Hello there. So I just developed a roll of Fuji 400H film. So I was out the other day shooting a comparison video. I was curious to see how the Mamiya 6 would compare to the GFX. So I got it all scanned in, so let's take a look. Wow, it's a much bigger difference than I thought. The colors are completely different. Video and gonna do some photography today in my local woods. That's the GFX 50R here, and I got the 35 to 70. And here we have the Mamiya 6 MF, and it's got the 50mm lens on it. I have all three lenses with me. It comes with there is only three lenses for the Mamiya 6, and it's a 50mm, and it's a 75 and a 150, and I got all three, and that's all you get. So I guess you save money on that. There's nothing else you can do. So let's see here. So the 50mm is by far my favorite. It's like an amazing super sharp lens and gives a really great character. So that's absolutely fantastic. It's pretty much the one I always use. And sometimes I will switch over to the 70. But quite rarely, to be honest, and even more rarely it's the 150. It comes on every now and then. To make this even more interesting, I'm going to shoot a roll of Fuji 400H. Now, since I got the Fuji, the GFX, it also has that built-in film sim, the 400H film sim. So it could be interesting to see what the actual difference is. So it's a medium format battle here, like so. Flick it open here on the side. It's a little thing you press in, flip it up. So you got this pressure plate that you need to have in 120 if you're shooting this kind of film, the 120 film. The 220 tab, like so, if you're shooting panoramic mode with a 35mm film. So I'm going to flick it back to 120. I just need to get the spool out, put it on the other side, get the film. Like so, and get that one in. We're just going to advance this until we see the start arrow coming there. Click, and then you just go until it stops. Alright, and now it's ready. So it's got this cool feature here where you can extend it a little bit. So this is one of the things that differs from the Mamiya 7, which made me pick this one over the Mamiya 7 actually. It is the collapsible lens. It is nice, and I also like the design a little bit better with this one. So yeah, let's see how this goes. I'm gonna go walk around the forest and shoot a few shots. Okay, so I've set up the composition here. Found a kind of a stump, a mossy stump with some interesting fungus growing out of it. Quite the colony of fungus here. So 400H film sim on, and here we go. Now we have the Mamiya here. So already here you can see there's the problems with the rangefinder where you get no flip up screen. So you just have to get down on your knees to nail the focus. So focus is set. Now this camera comes with a couple of features here. You got auto exposure and auto exposure lock. And I found that the exposure in this camera, it's extremely accurate. It's never really failed me. And especially when you got the auto exposure lock, it's really easy to get the exposure right. So you can just point down, instead of including the sky in your exposure, you just point down and then lock it in, move up, and then take the shot. ISO 400, etc. And let's go. So there, now we come to one of the things that does make it a bit annoying. There's 1,000 things you think that the camera can be broken with, and one of them is you press here and go like, oh no, what's happening? Well, there we go. I'm going to show you underneath here on the plate. You get kind of a curtain that needs to be moved out of the way. It's for changing the lenses and things, and then just go like this, and now it's ready. You'd be surprised how many times it gets you, even after owning the camera for a couple of years. It just goes like, oh shit, that's it. Now it's finally broken. Well, let's see, nothing changed. I think it's good. Okay. Look at the colors on the Mamiya. I really love those cool greens. The GFX got much more yellow in it. Both are daylight balanced, so they should kind of come out the same. When it comes to details, I think they both hold up very, very well. Got a little bit more detail in the GFX, of course, being digital and all. So what attracted me is mostly the colors. Just like the greens and the rusty browns there from the leaves. So we'll see. 2-second timer. I'm not using any polarizers because it's quite hard to get a polarizer on to the Mamiya 6 because it's a rangefinder, and everybody who's worked with rangefinders and polarizer knows it doesn't really go hand in hand. So focus is set, and I have changed to the 70mm lens instead of the 50mm just to get a little bit closer in. And it always surprises me how amazing this viewfinder is. It's not all rangefinders are not created equal when it comes to the viewfinder. I think this one is so big and so crystal clear. It's just amazing. It rivals the ones you find in Leicas. It's not worse by any means. It's absolutely the same high quality. So it's a joy to use. Okay, let's take the shots. The Mamiya one is looking very, very intense here, I think, compared to the GFX one, which is much more natural. So the question is, which one do you prefer? The crazy Mamiya one or the more sober GFX one? So I'm going to take this shot here with a 70mm lens. Shutter speed 8, f6.4, ISO 100. 2-second delay. The Mamiya with the 70mm lens on, or 75, sorry if I said that wrong, but it's a 75mm. Focus and recompose, right. So I gotta find something there. There we go. If you find these type of videos valuable, please consider subscribing. I've planned quite a few more of these types of videos. For this shot I've maxed out my tripod here, and I'm going for a vertical to get the most out of it. Let's take the shot. But this is how I like to do it, with instead of pointing the camera up to fill the frame, I just cut off the bottom. So the Mamiya is on, but I have to take it off again because I can't focus, it's too high. So flexible screens are the shit. So I just gotta line it up and hope for the best. Let's see, get a good focus point there. Should do it. So I'm not using any kind of shallow depth of field, so it should be fine. I don't have to be millimeter exact, but it does make it tricky. Because now I gotta see if I can. It's actually, well, it's pretty good. I think that would work. And I changed to the 50mm lens, so now I've got to do this. Open up the gate and take the shot. So one good thing is I don't have to flip it upside. Square is always square, right? We'll go. The Pro 400H has always been famous for how it handles its greens, and as you can see, compared to the GFX, it looks way nicer. Got a lot more separation between the leaves there. It's a very nice tree here, but it's really hard to compose. It's always when you see these things, but there's too much sky, so it kind of kills the yellows. Got to be pointing down. But it's very tempting to find a composition here. Got a pretty decent composition set up here already, so just gonna go for it. And quickly swap to the Mamiya 6. quickly check focus. I gotta do it like this. Yes, focus and recompose. Which is always, of course, a little bit annoying if you set a good composition, then you need to move it and take the shot. So it's time to try out the 150mm on the Mamiya. Now this is always a bit exciting because I had some problems with this lens where it kind of freezes up and doesn't take the shot, so I'm fingers crossed now that it actually works. I think it did. Pooh. I always have one of these, so you can see that. This is one of those you use for your smartphone to get the SIM card out. So it's not this one here, this is for the cable release, and just down below the cable release you put this there and go. Whoops, seems like I missed focus on the 150mm here, which is quite easily done. But I think you can yet again see here how much nicer the color separation is. Instead of ISO 400 I'm going down to ISO 200. It's getting a bit dark, and it's usually nice anyways to not shoot at 400 and give it one extra stop of exposure, the film, so that it doesn't get too grainy. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the timer, because I'm getting quite low shutter speeds now, so I got a timer right here, and I think it's quite slow, so it will take like 10 seconds or something. But now it's set and I have the focus in. Well, let's see how long it takes. Meanwhile, we can listen to that raven, or if it's a crow, I don't know. There. And the GFX is set up. Well, here we have one of the Mamiya 6's biggest drawbacks. It's the focus distance. So this lens, I got the 75 on now. It has a focus distance of 1 meter, and the 50mm is also 1 meter, and the 150 is it's 1.8. I actually think that the Fuji 400H film looks better with ISO 400 than 200, so there's no need to lower it to 200 to get more exposure time in. It's time to pack up. I shot half of the roll of the Fuji Pro 400H, and I think we're going to wait for another day when maybe it's a bit more sunshine. But it's been an amazing day, and it's been a lot of fun. I've come out for another photo shoot again with the Mamiya 6, and I got my Fuji GFX in the backpack there, and we're going to take the rest of the photos that I couldn't take the last time. I was hoping for some sunshine, but we got a bit of a foggy morning instead, so that'll have to do. Oh, it seems like we got some visitors here. So I was going to walk up to these mushrooms here, but we got the famous Heide schnucken, they're called. The sheeps of the Heide. All right, I think I found the first composition. It's always important to get the first shot in, so you don't overthink it too much. Got some birches to the left and some nice trees there. Well, the light is not really happening, but I'm going to take this shot anyways. 2-second delay. I'm going to switch over to the Mamiya 6. The Mamiya 6 MF. We'll take the same shot with that. Got the 75mm lens on, and I'm taking the shot. There we go.
Sometimes I think the film gives kind of a crunchy result. It looks a bit murky compared to the GFX. And I prefer the look of the GFX in certain scenarios, like when it's overcast.
We go, and the Mamiya. And I'm now on the 50mm.
The reds really shine on the film as well, compared to the GFX, which looks very much more softened and dampened. And you can see the difference here. It's quite a stark difference in saturation.
The last shot with the Mamiya 6 and the Fuji Pro 400H. And I found some lovely colored leaves here, and I think this will be it. And the Mamiya 6. That's it. And now that roll is over. So all I got to do now is develop this one, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so that was 12 frames of the Fuji Pro 400. So I'm just gonna open this up. And in this camera it's simple. You got a little orange tab here. Get that up, get that in, and that's about it. I'm gonna get into the MF part of the Mamiya 6 MF, which stands for multi-format and nothing else actually. Gotta get that in there. Let's see. Yes, it's done. Now, before you close the lid, make sure this one goes there to put the pressure on, and then we close it. So, and now I can see it says 220, 135 there as well. And here it stands on S, and I just gotta advance it until it's had enough. It tells me when it stops. And right there, now we're good to go. Okay, so I got the 50mm on now, and I usually find that the 50mm is the perfect lens to have with the panoramic adapter. So I'm just gonna take a photo of these trees here. With the mushrooms, maybe I can shoot this somehow with in the panoramic format. Probably have to get low to get this, but I think it could look cool. Now the problem is still with these, with this camera, is you have to be 1 meter away.
I actually was out at a different location as well, but I forgot my GFX. I can only shoot with the Mamiya, so I only took one shot of this lake here. And I think it's still, it's kind of amazing how the colors comes out. It's got nothing to do with reality, but it looks kind of cool. So it's an artistic decision, I guess.
I think this perfectly illustrates why it's still interesting to shoot film every now and then. Now, I love both mediums, digital and film photography. I think it's both great, and they both have their pros and cons. The pro with shooting film is that you can get a very different look than you thought you would get. You can often get surprised, and that's a really cool thing. With digital, you always know what you're going to get, and you have the high image quality and that kind of thing, which is also a good thing. So they both serve their purpose. The next video is going to be all about the panoramic adapter for the Mamiya 6 MF, and I'm shooting it besides the GFX in its X-Pan mode, and I'm going to make the case for why you might not need to buy a original Hasselblad X-Pan ever, and if you want a film camera with panoramic mode, that the Mamiya 6 MF might be the best option out there. If you're interested in that, then please hit the subscribe button and return in next week for that movie. And in the meantime, if you're interested in more film photography, I got a large format film right up here that you can watch. And I hope to see you next week again. Thanks a lot. Cheers.